So, what is perfectionism and how can you achieve it? Well, a more important question here is perfectionism even a thing? Is it achievable? A simple answer, it's not. No sugarcoating. It's not. The ideal state of being perfect is not something that you can get to. And obviously, as language learners, we feel all sorts of desires to speak perfect English, to communicate perfectly regardless of time and space. I am learning Spanish and I have a natural inclination towards speaking more like a Spanish native, to be speaking like a Spaniard or a Mexican. I get it. We all have those desires. But in doing this, we kind of miss out on some important questions about our language learning. Questions like what to learn in the language in the first place. I've met so many people in my life who just want to sound like an American or sound like a British. And the reason they want to do so is basically gunk, nothing, because it is in fashion. Well, I'm not going into the direction where I try to school people on what they have to do with their accent. If you want to learn an accent, that's entirely on you and there is nothing wrong about it. I personally am the opinion of speaking with a more neutral accent and my accent's closer to the American accent. But if you haven't worked on your core skills first and your written communication is very poor and you're focusing on your pronunciation and accent, that indicates that your list of priorities for learning the language is kind of upside down. And by that, I mean you're not focused on the right areas. You're not moving in the right direction. You have to work on your core strengths first, which will further give you the power to speak better in the later stages. And you have to leave some things for the later stages. And I would say accent comes in the later stages. Obviously, you can do it simultaneously if that's part of your plan and if that's one of your main goals. But if English is your goal, then you should be focused on your vocabulary, your basic vocabulary, your day-to-day conversations. Just make sure that you're able to pull off some small talks or the grammar needed for small talks. Many people are of the opinion that grammar is almost entirely irrelevant to learning the language, especially as a beginner. I definitely don't opine that. I'm a fan of grammar, but I'd say everything is good in moderation. So you want to learn grammar bit by bit. And like vocabulary, you don't have to do it every single day. It is a little bit uninteresting because it's a set of rules with a lot of exceptions. I get it, but you can start simple and stick with it until you understand every bit of it. For example, a good starting point for a beginner would be the simple tenses. Simple present, simple past, simple future. Simple present, in a nutshell, talks about things that happens on a routine basis. For example, you wake up every day. So you can say, I wake up at 8 in the morning. This is not to talk about today or yesterday or any particular day, but a regular phenomenon. You wake up at 8 a.m. every day, and that is what you use. There is where you use the simple present tense to say, I wake up. You wouldn't say, I woke up. It's the same with the past simple where you talk about an incident that happened in the past. For example, I talked with her yesterday. And simple future is equally simple as is in the name. And it talks about something that is going to happen. The keyword, will. Wanting to sound like a native is something that fascinates all of us. I'm not going to lie about that. But most of the English-speaking countries are countries where people are only able to speak one language properly. As opposed to a country like India, where I come from, we are exposed to so many languages from our childhood that it is mind-boggling. But is it bad? Not one bit. Am I saying that you as a non-native speaker have an advantage over those native speakers? Yes, sir, you do. Because when you're exposed to a lot of languages and you already speak some languages, English is going to be your second or your third language. You're not scared of languages. You aren't. Many people might be like, I am an Indian, but I'm afraid of languages. Is there something wrong with me? Not really. Let me just leave you with this one fact. English is the single most spoken language in the whole world, but most of its speakers are called non-native speakers. Like who? Like you and I. like us, my friends. And it is not nearly as difficult as achieving perfection that we all tend to chase. Then why aren't you achieving it? What's holding you back? Because you're hung up on your mistakes. Because you take your mistakes too seriously and you cannot deliver on your promises. I just need you to make one promise to yourself today, the promise of consistency, the promise of focus, and the promise of sticking with the right people. In this vast ocean of knowledge and confusion, if you find somebody who adds value to your life, you've got to stick around. So today, learning out of order, sticking with the wrong goals, not staying consistent is out. Staying consistent and learning from the right people is in. But just by doing these simple things, you will be able to learn English a lot easily. That's it for today. Bye for now. I'll see you in the next one.